he's always been quiet ever since he was younger.
Hmm.
Roman's been quiet. He was always to himself, and he's always hung out. Him and the twins were, they were inseparable. They were always hanging out because they all lived in Pensacola, Florida together. So they were around each other every day.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dr. Chris Featherstone here for an episode of UnSKripted. Listen, man, we were having a lot of fun here with Lloyd Anoa'i, the great Alofa, LA Smooth, you name it, ladies and gentlemen. We were actually, before we went on air, we were talking about the language that a lot of wrestlers speak. And that's you make some noises when you're wrestling, like ta ta, yeah. And it's for those who don't know what that does, it just kind of a lot of times they do that and call the match as well. But at the same time, when they make that sound, it's called Carney, and so it's like used to make that and Bill Apter was letting us know, and Lloyd, that's an insight thing that they have. So Bill, on air, let the listeners know what the language was as far as what Lloyd and his family would do.
Yeah, well, Lloyd's father is Alpha the Wild Samoan.
Yes.
And when Alpha
Hall of Famer.
When WWE Hall of Famer, indeed. Along with Sika.
Yes, indeed.
Is Lloyd's uncle.
Yep.
The father of Roman Reigns. Well, we're going to go over that. We're going to go
indeed.
over that.
Yep.
But anytime Alpha would put a nerve hold on somebody, he'd go, ish. And then we were talking about Harley Race, who was always, yeah.
And Haku would bless when he do the goozle, they would call it a Tongan death grip.
The Tongan goozle,
yes, indeed.
Well, Lloyd, we are so thrilled to have you here on Sportskeeda UnSKripted. So for any of the people who don't know, who you are, give us the bloodline in terms of you starting with your dad.
Ooh, man. All right. This might take up the whole show. Of course, it starts from the beginning. You had High Chief Peter Maivia. He's actually started before my dad and uncle, which are Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. Alpha is my dad. And then you have them as a first generation, because we're actually on our third, possibly going on our fourth generation of professional wrestling right now. So then you got my brother, Samu. You got the Tonga Kid. They started back when my dad and my uncle were in WWE back in the 80s. And then you got Rikishi, which was, he went as one of my cousins. He was with my brother as the head
Samoan SWAT team.
As he went to SWAT too, because he went to the Samoan SWAT team as well.
Yeah, WCW.
In Dallas, Dallas days, and then WCW days, and then they went to WWE as the head shrink with my dad. Mm-hmm. And that's when I actually started in the business. I actually started in 85, but I started in ring around 86, 87. And I made my first debut in WWF at that time was back in 92 and 93. Mm-hmm. So we were all there, and then the list goes on. I mean, you got, like I said, myself, you got my brother, my younger brother, Alpha Jr., which was Manu. He was with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and all them.
Legacy.
Yeah, the Legacy. Mm-hmm. And then you got, oh my God, like I said, Tonga Kid already, but you got their kids. You got Rikishi's kids. You got the Usos. You have Solo Sikoa. He's got an older son now that just started in the business. One of his older kids, and he's got actually two sets of twins, and he's one of them. And he's starting in the business. His name's Tamiko. And then you got we call him Little Sam, but Tonga, his kid is Jacob Fatu,
right?
And then
MLW.
And then you got his other son that actually is wrestling in California, and there's two of his. So the list goes on. You got my nephew, which is my brother's son, Lance Anoa'i, the future Anoa'i. He's
Yes.
did a big tour in Japan right now. After MLW, he went to Japan. He's there now still, and then I believe he's coming back to MLW. But there's so many of us. You got, in marriage. There's just a ton of us. I mean, there's
Who's that
so
guy in
many-
WWE who is the head of the table?
Yeah, of course. Well, I
Yeah.
was leaving that for last. You got the man that's killing records right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he is making our family very proud, and I'm very proud of him. And we got no another but Roman Reigns, which is the Universal Heavyweight Champion of WWE. I mean, he's selling records. I mean, Vince McMahon, WWE, I mean, they're all happy with him because he's putting behinds in seats and he's selling out. Friday Night SmackDowns have been sold out and have record, viewings on TV since they've been doing this bloodline, angle that they've been doing. And it's just unbelievable. And I've been there to see it for myself. I did some stuff with them, SummerSlam. I did some stuff with them in SummerSlam, and it's unbelievable. And I'm just proud of all of them.
Lloyd, along those lines, seeing Roman Reigns grow up, and he played football and it was very athletic. What was it, seeing Roman Reigns grow up, just as his relative? And did you ever see, I mean, because it's in the blood, for people to wrestle. That's Anoa'i Fatu, dynasty. Yeah. What did you see? Did you see at Roman Reigns the trajectory of wrestling, or did you see the trajectory of football more when he was in college and high school?
Well, ever since I'm gonna call him Joe because everybody knows his name is Joe. He's always been quiet ever since he was younger. Roman's been quiet. He was always to himself, and he's always hung out. Him and the twins were, they were inseparable. They were always hanging out because they all lived in Pensacola, Florida together. So they were around each other every day. And Joe I'd never seen him really, to be honest with you. I never thought he would get into the wrestling business because he never looked that way. He never focused on that. He wasn't really interested in it. He was always into football and sports like that. So when he got into college and, after college, when he got, drafted to the NFL, I was like, all right, here we go. And then, of course, everything happened with, sickness he had, and, he couldn't pass the test for the NFL and things happened. So then his next step was, well, why not get into wrestling? It's only natural. The whole family's in the business. And I knew if he got into wrestling, it was going to be a natural anyway, because not just to put our family over, but Bill can verify that for you. Everybody that's in our family that's in the business, we all have talent. I mean, as big as we are, we have, everybody goes and says, man, you Samoans can move. It's just natural for us, and God has gifted us with that, that what we can do. Our athleticism, in not just in wrestling, but in sports as well. And I think we're just truly blessed in every way.
Yeah, you mentioned the Roman Reigns hanging out with the twins, and they were inseparable growing up. How much do you think that played into just the authenticity and just the feel of the bloodline angle being so organic, and it just flowed in so well because of that upbringing? Do you think that had a lot to play with it?
Of course. I mean, of course, we know the twins, the Usos, they were there before Joe. And, then when he got into, the business and he started with them, I think that, they were happy that they were going to be on the road together once he hit the main roster. But then when he blew up and became Roman Reigns, and then he had, after he came back, after he was away, from, the leukemia coming back in, he came back just a different person, and he was ready to rock and roll. I mean, he was ready to do business then. And that was after the Shield thing and all that. So when he became that person, and, Vince McMahon, that's what Vince McMahon wanted. Basically, he already told him from day one he was going to make him a superstar.
Yeah.
So that was his chance right there, and I think he ran with it. And till now, I mean, it's great. So him being, you know, in that position he had opportunity to go and step up the twins with him to make this bloodline, because of course our family's tight, and why not do it? It's just the right thing to do, you know. So with them all in there, I think it's a great angle. It's one of the best angles that I've seen in years in the wrestling business. And Bill, you can verify that for me if you.
Oh, absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, we almost lost a member of the bloodline recently, and that was you. You went through a harrowing health experience that we were all praying for you. Why don't you encapsulate that and tell our viewers?
Yeah, you know, thank you, Bill. I mean, I really appreciate you, and I love you, man, and all the prayers from everybody. About 2.5, 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with kidney failure. I didn't know I had it. I was wrestling. I was doing this. I was doing that. Didn't know I had kidney failure until one day I went to the hospital and I had the flu. And I just went there because of the flu, but then they found out there was more going on through blood work and taking x-rays and everything. So to make it a little more shorter, they found out that my kidneys weren't working well, and they were basically at 35%, which should have been up to like 87, and they were down to 35. So they were very concerned about that, even though your kidneys can still function out of 35, but you know, it was a scare. So after a while, you know, another month went by. I went to my kidney doctor, and he says, you know, take a month, go and get the blood work done before you come see me. And he gave me some medication, to help my kidneys function to where they start working again. But apparently when I went to the doctors and went back to him, and it wasn't good. You know, I thought it was going to be great, you know, news. But besides that, they went from a 35 down to a 6 in a month's time.
Wow.
So come to find out, I had to do more tests and did a biopsy and found out that my kidneys were 60% scar tissue, because they weren't strong enough to fight off infection I had in my body, which, you know, we all know your kidneys fight off all kind of stuff, but they weren't strong enough to do that. So therefore I ended up on dialysis, and it was really, really hard on me. And it was almost to the point where I wasn't going to make it, because dialysis was really hard on me. It was a toll on my body. You know, I really never told anybody, and I kept it in for a long time, but I didn't want people to know, you know, I was just trying to do it on my own. And that wasn't a good thing. And I'm glad that I came out with it and let everybody know what I was dealing with. And through the grace of God, you know, my wife stuck next to me all the way. She was with me 100%. She said, don't worry, babe, if I have to give you a kidney, you know, I will. The whole thing about it was, you know, not really husband and wife or couldn't be in a match, but she took the test, and she was actually my perfect match.
Wow.
I mean, not just blood work. I mean, we did blood. I mean, you have to be the perfect match: blood, tissue, and size.
Yeah. Because
I'm a big guy, and she was actually 2 centimeters off of what my kidney was. So the doctor said you couldn't get any perfect than that, and the doctor said it's 1 out of 100,000 that a husband and wife would be a perfect match like me.
Wow. It's amazing.
So I'm totally blessed. And March 28th was the day that we had the kidney transplant, and it's been 6 months now, and I feel great. I got a second chance at life.
That's
and
amazing.
I can't thank nobody but her and the good Lord above, and the people, and all the fans, and like everybody that sent prayers, because prayers work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So because you had that Samoan itch that you cannot scratch completely, meaning that you wanted to get back in the ring. Now you got dates and still doing some stuff, even in the ring. Went right back and ready to rock and roll, and let the listeners know. I got another interesting question for you in a minute, but just on your road to recovery, 6 months, just still wanting to compete in the ring and go and represent the bloodline.
Yeah, it's in the blood. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I tell everybody it's like a drug. Once you it brings you back. It's just like a drug. Like a drug addict. They can't stop. It's like that's how
Yeah.
wrestling is.
Mhm.
Once you get out of it and you try to get out of it, it always brings you back.
Need
So
that hit.
I'm doing I'm doing a lot of autograph signings. I'm doing some signings all around. I'll be in WrestleCade in November. I just signed another one in October for
Mhm.
Texas. So I'll be doing the Comic Con down there as well, and I got some other stuff lined up.
Nice.
And I'm gonna try to get in the ring, slowly but surely. I mean, I know what I can do and what I can't do.
How
But
big are you right now, Lloyd?
I actually lost weight. I dropped about 45 pounds, maybe close to 50 pounds.
Mhm.
Right now I'm about 365. I was actually
Yeah.
in the 400s because had water retained from from my kidneys not functioning. And I didn't even know I was that much. But I was a little bit over 400 pounds, and I thank
Wow.
God that I took all that off, and I'm on the road to losing more weight and getting back in shape. Because at my age, I mean, 37 years in the business, I
Mhm.
should be out of it, but I just, like you said, I got that itch. I got to
Yeah.
keep going.
Got that itch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
when when Ric Flair was faking a retirement in one of his promos,
Oh.
he said, "I will never retire," and that's I think that goes the same
No
for
one
you,
in this
Lloyd.
business retires.
No one
Lou Thesz,
retires.
Lou
Yes.
Thesz wrestled until he was like 200.
Yes, Terry
So
Funk retired like 29 times. Like
that's
he
correct.
retired every year from like 1970,
But
1975.
I got a story real quick about you were saying about Terry Funk.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back in WCW days, he sat my older brother down Samu, and he was telling him how good he was in business, and you know, he's gonna go a long way. But how Terry used to talk, he sat there and he goes, "Let me tell you something, Samu. You are great, and I'm gonna tell you something else. You were born in this business, and you will die in this business."
Mm.
And he just told him, because how great he was. And look at, Terry never stopped in the business, and
Yeah.
fortunately we lost him, but he just
Mhm.
lived by what he told everybody. he
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
died in this business. He loved this business, and
Yeah.
you can't get nobody greater than him, and he's truly missed.
Yeah, he
Right.
revived his character. He was an Amarillo Texan branding iron, tough, son of a gun. He got even tougher when he revived his character nearly 30 years in ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
that
Look at
out.
that. Look at
Look
that.
at
1971, Madison Square
71.
Garden, backstage. That was 71. That was me interviewing Dory Sr. and Terry.
There it
I keep
is
this
right
very
there.
close to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He revived his
when
career in ECW 30 years in, middle-aged and crazy, and start doing crazy moonsaults and wearing striped tights.
Yeah.
And you were there during the
Yes.
time in the late 90s working with Terry Funk and the part
But
of the
I worked
Samoan
with him
Gangsta
in the
Party.
in the 80s too.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
first time I
absolutely.
worked with him, when the original ECW with Todd Gordon, and before that,
Yeah,
and when
that
he
was early
came in for
90s.
Todd and came in and did some stuff, I'd
Mhm.
never forget it, because I was just telling my younger son about it. We were in a tag team, I believe, and Terry was in there, and that was my first time I've ever worked with Terry, and I was
Mhm.
young. I was thrilled to work with him, and he's sitting there, and he's hitting me with jabs. He's hitting me with jabs, and I'm rocking, and out of the jabs, he goes, "Headbutt me." And I didn't know what to do. I'm like, headbutt him. I'm nervous as being young, and he hit me again. He said, "Headbutt me, God damn it!" And, next thing you know, I just, out of the blue, I just grabbed his head and I headbutted him. And he took the biggest bump out of the second rope onto the floor, and I'm like, he made me look like Superman. And I'll never forget it, man. And
What a great
it's a great
story.
story with him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's Terry for you, man. So
Yeah.
interesting enough, you work with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman, full circle, is now managing Roman Reigns, and managed the Bloodline for a while, still managing Solo Sikoa as well. How is it seeing Paul Heyman, 30 years later, working with him, 25, 30 years ago, coming full circle, and now managing the next generation of the Samoan dynasty?
Yeah, man, Paul's been around our family for so long, like you
Yeah.
said. He's wow. He's been around when he was a photographer. Am I right, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, he was shooting pictures for our magazines, and then years later, I see him with Afa and Sika, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. We actually, my dad helped groom him into the business, and he became, booking guys for wrestling and this and that, and getting into the business. And just from that point on, and just being part of our family all these years, and just as well as Bill's known me since I was a young kid. So it's an honor to always talk with Bill and be around him.
He actually put my son over in Afa's training school when my son was about 8 years old. Lloyd even took a body slam from my son.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, El Brando.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. Go ahead, Lloyd.
No, what I was going to finish was, Paul's a great guy. I mean, people can talk to him, they can say whatever he wants, but his mind for the business is unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, he's brings so much to the light, even helping. And I know he's got a lot to do with the storyline that's going on. He's got a great mind. And there's a lot of the old timers that are there with WWE right now that are working as agents and backstage. I know they have a lot to do with it, but Paul has so much more involved in that. Yep. And, everybody's input, but his mind is so unreal.
He's the top of the line, because I've seen him backstage when people are coming up with ideas, and then he'll fine tune it. He'll say, why don't we do it this way? Yes. And they go that way because they know. And if you look at what he's accomplished through the years, and when he was booking at ECW and coming up with all those great storylines and stuff like that, you've got to trust a mind like that.
Yeah. But if you had something good for him, and he liked it, and it went with his mentality of the match, how he wanted it, he'd let you go with it. Mm-hmm. But like Bill was saying, if you came up with something, he would always put that twist on it that would make it just so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I respect him so much for that.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of people don't understand, without understanding or watching or looking at the business or watching the product for a while. A lot of people don't understand the history of why Paul Heyman started managing Roman Reigns. A lot, it's not WWE just threw somebody with Roman Reigns. There's legit history with
their family,
Paul Heyman and the Anoa'i Fatu family. A lot of people know that. So go a little bit more into that, Lloyd, as far as just, for those who are just, thinking that WWE just threw Heyman. No. It's much deeper than that, as far as just Paul Heyman's just connection to the Anoa'i Fatu family for decades now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like I was saying, he was what my dad started, but then he also managed my brother and my cousin as a Samoan SWAT team.
Yep, Samoan SWAT
and then
team.
It went on to managing them again. I mean, he's been with them for years, and then for us working for him with ECW, we've always been a part with Paul. And what better way than not to make that bloodline story great than not using Paul Heyman?
Yeah.
I mean, he was already over when he was doing the thing with Brock Lesnar, but when Roman came up and he became the head of the table, all that stuff, I mean, it was just so perfect. You can't.
But in the early days, your dad was fine-tuning him. Your dad was watching him and grooming him.
Yes. He helped Paul, and Paul will tell you for himself. He's spoken to a lot of people. He said, he got all his smartness and my dad helping him and telling him things in the business. And I think what Paul did is he took all that knowledge and he took it to a different level. And that's what we see right now. He
was also very close with Blassie, Albano, and the Grand Wizard.
Yeah.
But I saw your dad fine-tuning him a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So
it seems like he's paying it back to that. Just as far as just him managing. I think it's just, and it's interesting because in 2023, managers aren't really a thing as much anymore as it used to be, and especially in the 80s. Sure. And it's cool to see that element because managers bring so much important layers to a character, especially a heel. And I don't think that Roman Reigns would be Roman Reigns, especially within the first, these past 3 years that we've seen him as the head of the table. He would not be Roman Reigns without Paul Heyman. And he's just such a very, very important factor and a very important piece of this puzzle that a lot of people don't really understand and sometimes take lightly. Paul Heyman can be very animated and and charismatic, but a lot of that stuff for Roman Reigns being so even, kill, and balanced, Paul Heyman being the animated person brings in that important balance when it comes to the head of the table gimmick and the tribal chief. Yes, my tribal chief, like all that stuff, all that are very important layers. So your thoughts on that?
And I agree with you, because I do believe that, and it's true that Paul is actually the one that probably put this all together. And I would not agree in any way, that he did not put this together. When he sees money, he wants to be involved in that. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. And that was just the right time for them to put them together. And I think, like I said, he took it to a different level. Look what's happening now. And like you said, back in the days, managers used to always get involved in matches and all that. You very seldom see him get involved. The only thing he is on the mic, and there's his heat. He actually gets his heat by on his mic and what he does and his facial features and what he does. You don't see him jumping up on the ring doing this very much. The way they put the angles at, he just sits out there, my tribal, and his facial features. And I love it because that's Paul.
Where does we're talking Samoans? Where does The Rock fit in all this in the family?
Well, The Rock is related to us through his grandfather, Peter Maivia. Peter Maivia was actually like a brother. He's a brother to my dad because my grandfather, bring him back because Peter Maivia is actually from Western Samoa. And in order to make him, a citizen of West American Samoa, he would have to be brought in from somebody or paperwork done. So my grandfather, him being related, took him as a son and bring him to the island. So, he's family to us. So that's how The Rock, is related to us through his grandfather.
Sure. Well, Peter Maivia's daughter, Ata, married Rocky Johnson, and they had The Rock.
Yes.
Were you surprised to see him come back?
It was funny because we were sitting and I believe we had just got home, me and my son. So I said, all right, let me put the TV on. And all of a sudden we're sitting there and all of a sudden we see Pat McAfee in the ring. So he said, maybe he's going to be doing an angle with Theory and all that. And all of a sudden you hear, can you smell what The Rock? And then I looked at the TV and I'm like, nah. And my son's sitting there and he's sitting there with his jaw open like this. And he looks at me this way and goes, and I'm like, nah. And all of a sudden when he came out, I was like, there it goes.
Yeah.
I said, yep. I said, they're trying to come back and, just kill it. Once they did that merge, they're trying to make a difference now.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are coming back now, and even for myself too. I'm a SAG-AFTRA, I have SAG-AFTRA. I did some movies. I did, I had some movies coming up and I can't do anything right now because of the strike. So these guys actually are on strike. They can't do anything. They can't do commercials. They can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. But they're bigger names than I am. But, John Cena, even Batista's talking about coming back, if they fall. So, they have to stay busy in order to, continue making money, even though they got, they're not starving, But to keep them in the limelight and keep them on, TV, why not do it?
Very true. Yeah, they're not starving, but Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Though.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
Indeed.
I need shoes as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I'm trying to walk around barefoot.
Yeah, right.
We also did beside the wrestling magazine.
The ACC, the nerve hole.
Beside the wrestling magazines, we used to do boxing magazines, and anytime I would call Joe Frazier, who had a lot of money, back then. I'd say, "How are you doing?" "Well, we got to keep working to keep shoes on the kids." He just reminded me of that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. As the wrestling community is like, hey, let's the strike last until after WrestleMania, just so we can get all of them involved. So
yeah, for sure, man. And
Yeah.
I've been like I said, I did some stuff with them for SummerSlam. I was part of producing the package they put together for the Ulufala, the necklace that Roman wears, and it was for that tribal match he had with Jay. So I was helping them with that, I'm pretty sure you saw it with my uncle, my dad on there. So they asked me to help them with that, and I did that because I've been trying to get back with the company as well.
Nice.
I want to go back as an agent, a producer, and I've been in talks with them. So, it's been waiting. They said the merger, they're going to be hiring and firing. Well, we can see they're firing.
Yeah.
So, and hiring a few people. So I just actually reached out to them today again to remind them, to see what's going on. So I pray to God that, I can go back and give my knowledge to some of these guys as well,
Yes.
and be part of it, because I started in the company, and if I could retire in the company, I'll be happy.
Very nice. So when you have your interview with the execs and they say, Lloyd, what is it about you that we should hire and bring in to the company, the Endeavor and TKO? The only thing you have to say is, oh, it's simple. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Or ECT.
Or
I've got one last question to ask you, okay? You're the booker right now. Philadelphia, April 2024. In one corner, Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion. In the other corner, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. What happens?
Roman goes over.
Okay.
I agree. Yes.
That I let y'all say that because Dwayne, he can't stay around for long.
Yeah.
Why put a strap on him if he can't be there?
Yes, I agree with you. Listen, WWE, MMA, TKO. When this airs and you hear that, let him take the books when it comes to planning and booking that, and that logic precisely is why you should get that job. And you need a new pair of shoes.
It doesn't matter.
Personally, you know what? I would probably do a twist on it. I would probably put Dwayne over, but give it right back to Roman. Just to play a story with the people. But hey, that's where the mind comes in. That's where my mind starts going.
Yeah. I don't mind that either. If it's a short, and I've talked about that before. Look, a lot of times the Raw after WrestleMania, is a big thing. It hasn't been a big thing in the past few years, and it should be, because it used to be like kind of a pay-per-view within itself, like a big special, like a Clash of the Champions or a Saturday Night's Main Event back in the day. The Raw after WrestleMania kind of took that mantle. It would be cool if shock the world, Rock wins at WrestleMania, and then he says, you know what? I want to challenge you again, Roman Reigns, because I want to be sure that you understand that you are not the head of the table. You have corrupted the Samoan dynasty. I'll take you tonight. And in the rematch, Roman Reigns beats The Rock and shocks the world one more time.
And you know what? It doesn't hurt him because you know why? You can never hurt him.
Yeah, he's
been over for many years. Yeah. His name is out there. You can't hurt him. I mean, and it's all how you do it. It's not what you do. It's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I'm a big fan of, I agree that Roman Reigns should beat The Rock at WrestleMania, but if there's a twist, knowing that The Rock's not going to be there, if it's within the same week, it doesn't matter. If it's a one-day reign, it's The Rock. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
A one-day Roman reign. Yes.
Yeah, a one-day Rock reign that is commencing by Roman Reign. Yes, indeed. All right, let the listeners know where to find you on the socials.
Exactly what I was going to ask.
Oh man, I'm all over the place. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on even TikTok. I like to put those TikToks together a little bit. But
you do the dancing on TikTok?
I do a little something. But you can find me on Facebook at Lloyd Anoa'i, at Twitter, which is called X now, at Lloyd Anoa'i, and also at Instagram, which is Lloyd Anoa'i _ Great Alofa. And on Twitter, on TikTok, just Lloyd Anoa'i, straight out, my name, and follow me, see what I'm putting up. I'm always putting something up, even if it's either pictures or videos or just positive words from, just if I can put positive words up there and help somebody for their day, then the Lord's blessing me to help somebody else. And that's what I'm totally about, helping other people.
Love it.
And because I've got so many
Love it.
opportunities where
Love
people help me. So if I can help somebody else and bless them, so be it.
Yes,
Real
indeed.
quickly, give us an update on your dad, Afa, and Uncle Sika.
Well, they're getting up there in age, but they're still going. I was with my dad, last week? He had a show, which was WXW, his 25th anniversary. And
Yeah.
with him, and he's doing well. And then when I went to Pensacola to do the SummerSlam, I was there with Uncle Sika, and he's doing good. Like I said, they're getting up there in age, but they still, they're still kicking, and that's the blessing. So as much as we can have them around, it's always a blessing.
Yes, indeed.
It is. And everybody know this right now. I love my cousin Roman. They call him the head of the table, but my dad is the true head of the table of our family. He is the eldest, and he is the one that controls our family, and being, not control, but, being the one that's in charge of what happens to our family and everything. So he is our true tribal chief.
Yes, indeed. This guy right here is Lloyd Anoa'i. Go check him on the socials. And, hey, we might have some, a future agent, for WWE. We'll see.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out him on the socials. And of course, my good friend Bill Apter, as always. That's what we do, the Unscripted crew. This is Dr. Chris Featherstone signing off. Have a good night, buddy. What's your signature, Bill?
Guys, Bill, love
See you.
We could do this again. We can do this again.
We will.
Okay, so
Well, you didn't call me by my Samoan name.
It's
Apta.
the Opta, Bill Opta.
All right. We'll see you at the matches. Thank you, everybody.
Solo.